No, that was when somebody could challenge it was between Christmas and New Year's. And then by the middle of January, we're done. 1 more minute.
A couple more minutes.
I just really like having you knock the gap. It's the thing on the recording.
It's not time yet.
He's running late.
This is the longest minute in the world. It's the last minute.
Almost every recording starts
It's a
like
lot of
that.
fun.
Hi, Vicky.
Neener, 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 neener. Yeah. Okay. Call the June 16th, 2026 meeting of the Meeker Rec Park District to order. Could you call the roll, Katie?
Absolutely. Chrissy Baumgart. Here. Brian Almquist.
Here.
Gary Helfrich.
Here.
John McDaniel.
Present.
Max Alper said he is running late.
Somebody want to move approval of this evening's agenda? I move that we approve this evening's agenda. There's a second?
I will second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Does anyone need to abstain from anything on this evening's agenda?
No.
No. Okay. Public comment. Members of the public may address the board on any item not appearing on the agenda. Comments are limited to 3 minutes. Remember that the board cannot discuss or act on an item not appearing on the agenda, except as permitted by government code, section 54954.2. Yes.
Kathy Castle Anderson. I just want to report that last Saturday night here at the hall, the potluck history gallery of presentations that we did turned out very nice. It was a good turnout, and I think everybody enjoyed it. And we're looking forward to the one in September. I already got some notes going, so on history stuff.
We appreciated your presentation.
But I think it was nice. I didn't think I was gonna be talking like that. I didn't prepare anything.
No, it's okay.
Oh, you were perfect.
No, so I hope it was okay. Yeah.
Yeah, we enjoyed it.
Okay, great. And we missed a couple of you gentlemen that are up there on the table.
You know, I had a medical excuse.
Okay,
I don't know what anyone else's excuse was.
it was good.
I had someone else that made plans for me.
Okay. All right, here it comes.
So, sorry.
Oh, yeah, but he's grabbing his snack first.
Not a good back.
Sure.
Okay, let's move down to the approval of the minutes. And the meeting on May 19th, 2026. Are there any corrections, additions, comments? Would someone like to move approval?
I will move to approve minutes of May 19th, 2026. Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Now we'll move down to payment of claims. Vicky.
Okay.
Okay.
So we have the warrants in front of us, and this time we have 2 new vendors. And one of them is really not a new vendor. It's that we only pay them twice a year, in April and in August. This time we were a little bit late, and that's the USDA Rural Development. We are paying interest on the long-term debt of $21,364. The other new vendor is Adrian Jimenez, and that's the person who's cleaning Anderson Hall after every meeting. So those are the 2 new vendors. And then we have something interesting at the bottom. The last 3 vendors, Braille and Race, Ray Carlson, and Russian River Utility. This is a repeat from last month. Something interesting happened with the bank. Just to let you know, we have a protection program where every time you approve the warrants, I have to enter the checks that we are paying on the bank screen so that they are aware of which banks are coming through. Now, those 3 checks, somehow the bank scanners did not read them properly and they were rejected. So they were not paid. So we have to put them back again this month for payment. What we did with the bank is we asked them to let us know before they actually reject the payment to let us know of possibilities of rejection so that we can fix whatever needs to be fixed, and we don't have to wait a whole month to pay our vendors. So we have that in place, and now we are receiving an email that tells us you have zero rejections, or you have a possibility of a rejection, so that we can take care of it within that month. So those last 3 checks are repeats from the previous month, and because of that, our total warrant is $71,108.19, of which Rec and Park is $4,854.12, and the water fund is $66,254.07. Unless there are any questions.
Any questions?
Nope.
Should we pay the claims?
And I'll make a motion that we pay our bills.
I will second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Financial and administrative reports. We'll start with the financial report.
Okay, so the financial report, we are doing very well, and I'll start with the Park and Rec report. As you know, we've received all our revenues for the year 2025, 2026 for Park and Rec. So now all we are doing is spending down that money. We should be at about 100%, but as you know, there are some June bills that will be coming in after this meeting. So it's really not 100%, but we are really doing well. In terms of revenues, we are at 95% of our budget. And in terms of expenses, we are at just below 60%. So we have spent less than we have received, and therefore our fund balance will be increasing slightly. We'll have some cash flow technically. So unless there is any question regarding the actual versus budget and the percentages that you're seeing there, and that's our Park and Rec. So far, we've received $133,705. That is the county plus any interest income that has come through, plus any rental fees that we receive for Anderson Hall and other USPS property rented to USPS. Okay.
Any questions on the financial report? Okay.
Okay, then the water fund, we are also doing well. We are actually over 100% of our budget. We are at $430,000. I've guesstimated the June revenues to about $24,000. But in total, between what we have received from the county for direct charges and water sales, we are at $430,000. Now, since we have changed how we are paying, we are including payments for Occidental and Alliance. We are also reflecting a new line called reimbursement from other governments, and that's the line that will be tracking how much we are getting back from Alliance and Occidental. By the same token, our expenses for those, like utilities and contract services will be a little bit higher because it will be including that portion in this report. So we are still doing well. As I said, our revenues are at 106%, while our expenses are at 95%. So we are ahead that way. Again, unless there's a question. That
Any
is my report.
questions? I don't know how we're doing so well, but we are.
We are doing very well. Too well, but we'll address that when we talk about the budget.
Yes, we can fix that.
So that's the report.
Okay, thank you. Katie, do you have any administrative items?
Probably more than I'm gonna remember at this moment. The Goldridge RCD is unexpectedly getting funding to move forward with the Weir project in Dutchville Creek. They were thinking it would be a little longer in the future, but there was a funding source that came up, a grant opportunity. So that will be popping up on our agenda probably in the next month or two. I did the California State Parks public hearing for round 5 of their park revitalization grant opportunity. And that is a really interesting opportunity, and it'll be on the agenda when it becomes more concrete, but I'll be so basically they're heavily weighing revitalization, and there's like a lot of different score criteria, but we meet a lot of them, climate risk and various other things. So I think it would be excellent to use for the playground. Parking lots are also eligible.
Nice.
So just in my mind, my big dream, I think we could have the parking lot and playground all included in it. It might be a good idea to get a design firm involved because it's that big, but there's like $188 billion from Top Four out to allocate toward this. So it's a really interesting opportunity, and they're looking at August as being when the application will be finalized, and then from there it'll be a 4 to 6 month application period. So more to come on that.
Cool.
Next month we've got direct charges. So keeping an eye on that, and we'll have everything ready to go for publications and whatnot. And that is all for now. There's a lot going on. Takes my breath away. Brian and I did a revision to the IPO proposal after getting more numbers together. I don't know if you're going to do a director's report in it, but we just resubmitted it today. And it's up to a little over 1.4. So we'll see how that is. Exciting.
Anybody wants to go through it?
We added a lot more specifications and the numbers went up. So that's exciting. Hopefully that ball gets rolling again soon. Fingers crossed. We're gonna do a trail management workshop with Ag and Open Space on Thursday out at Montini Open Space Preserve. So that should be really interesting as well. Also, the Cal State grant is CEQA exempt, which is kind of interesting. So anyways.
Any questions?
No.
Okay. Well, let's find out how our water system is.
Just you tell me how it tastes and we'll go from there.
It still has a lot of mineral deposit compared to the old days.
Yeah, and that might be that inert anti-corrosive that we put in there at just slightly less than 1 part per million. It's
It used to do that.
yeah, it's all part of the state's requirement, and it's in our fresh permit that says we need to do that to ensure that there's no lead or copper leached from any plumbing or in the internal plumbing. It's primarily about the house. As we know, there's nothing in the water system distribution system that could generate either copper or lead. But it's a requirement. So you'll see little white spots. I will make a note to ensure that we haven't increased it in any way, and we're just what they require.
Make shower heads crusty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shower balls.
Mhm.
And
Oh,
unless there's any specific questions, given the length of this agenda and the important things on it, I'll be happy to move out of the way.
We'll probably want to talk to you during the important thing.
Then I won't get all the way up.
Don't get all the way up, because there may be operational questions about the water system.
Okay.
As well.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go to our action agenda. And the first thing is the voluntary drought agreement, which is our low release into the Mighty Dutch bill. And it's sitting in my inbox, which I will sign, assuming that the board wants to sign it. So. What?
Do you want me to present it?
No,
Oh, he was looking at me.
no. I'm assuming everyone's read it. It's no different than it has been in the past.
Yeah.
So if there's no questions, I'd make a motion that the board authorize the board president to sign this year's agreement with California Department of Fish and Wildlife for the fish release. Second. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
And I will take that as approval to contact Fish and Wildlife and find out when they'd like us to begin.
Yes.
And we'll just open that line of communication. They'll let us know when and how much. Yes.
And my only request, if possible, is to give us a heads up ahead of the time, because I would love, I think, to try and make it so more people know that this is happening. And I think we could, with like when we're gonna do the switch, because I think there could be a fun thing to bring some people there from Camp Meeker to, even though I know it's not that ceremonial.
We can do balloons.
But I think doing something, I think especially for like, young people, kids who live in Camp Meeker, knowing this is happening, making it a festive thing to really celebrate.
You mean
this.
as a show and tell where you can see it bubbling up out of the side of the road and
Yeah, I leave those details to you. But
gurgling down. The only problem with that is that having to cross Bohemian Highway to get down.
Yeah, no, I think of it as just the adding a little bit of ceremony to the swing.
I will let you know as soon as I know.
Great. And I'll take care of the organizing of the people around it, but you just give me the heads up. Great, thank you, I appreciate it.
Okay, so item B is a Russian River utility item.
Another one.
Another one. And this should be your favorite because you're going to have to interpret after the fact how would things. I know, it's difficult. Many of us.
Well, let's start with, do the current members of the board recognize the fact that for now many years, I was talking with Steph, it's been 30 years probably, that Hal, for some reason, decided that we, Russian River Utility Company, should pay the first $1,200 of the PG&E bill associated with all of the usage in Camp Meeker treatment and distribution. No. And when I stepped in, I just assumed that, and we just continued to do that and have continued to do that for many, many years. So I don't know what his reasoning was, whether he was just being generous, whether there wasn't funding, whether there wasn't enough money in the front end for the district to pay that money. I don't know what his reasoning was, and he's unavailable to talk to me on this plane. So, so you are doing well. And now with the 3 entities involved, it's become more complex. I think it's moot. I did some rough numbers, and if you think about $1,200 for 12 months is 14,000 times 25 or 30 years. I think we've paid our dues, and I want out, damn it. No, I'm sorry, I don't mean to live. But I would propose that we continue to pay your PG&E bill in full to ensure that there are no 3-day notices and no shutoffs, and then present that paid an invoice to Katie, showing that expenditure, and then I expect to be fully reimbursed.
I went and looked through some of my old HAL notes.
Yes, oh, did you?
I did,
I,
and I can't even find a mention of this, so. And I don't remember it, which usually I remembered most of the
yes.
Howwood wheeling and dealing because it was just so masterful that I stood back in awe and watched. But I honestly don't recall this, so I would say that we got a free ride for a while. It doesn't seem fair even really.
I went back into the oldest of the contracts and the original agreements for operation and the exhibits A and B, your responsibility, our responsibility. I mean, I read every line that was, there was never anything in there. It was just something that was done.
Although this information will be forthcoming, we did anticipate this discussion and built that into the budget.
Right.
To impact our expenses.
Thank you.
And so the actual $1,200 will be less for us because of the three-way split. So it's actually not that earth shadow. That was still more to come
It's
on
like
that.
600.
I don't want to throw it out and say it's not going to make any financial hardship on the part of the district.
There are questions or comments from other board members?
No.
Cause I would move, we let RRU out of this HAL factor.
I'll second.
As these things were once known as. All in favor? Aye.
Thank you.
Okay.
I'm sure it's not the last one. Little traps.
Some of them, we've got documentation on,
Yeah,
not this one.
I appreciate your consideration on this.
Okay, the extension of the first amended agreement for sale of water between Sonoma Water and Canby Director Park. This just moves the goalpost down the road a year. Everything stays the same. Anybody not want to do this?
I'd like to.
Yeah. Okay. Then is somebody in favor of approving the extensions?
I move that we extend the first amended agreement for the sale of water between Sonoma Water and Camp Meeker Recreation Park.
Okay.
I will second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, now we get into the, as they say, the meat and potatoes. This is Belgian race water storage tank assessment and improvement proposal. Brett was here to
briefly,
do your thing.
I'm going to briefly discuss what is in the report and then ask for questions. I'm actually going to start at the back and work forward because I think that Morelli is probably where the meat of the discussion is going to be. So Tower and Bomber, both constructed as part of the second Camp Meeker water project focused on the distribution system in 1999. Both of the tanks supplied the water to the upper zone. The primary issue with these two tanks is the upper wall and roof coating. We actually were a little surprised when we did look at the tanks that the exterior was as bad as it was and the interior coating was as good as it is. Generally, the underside of the roof is the worst part of any tank, any metal tank that's got coating on it because of its atmosphere. It's high moisture all the time, and it's got a little bit of chlorine because of the off gassing from the point in the water. There are some other concerns that need to be addressed. We looked at several options for those tanks, including replacing just the upper portions of the tank, and also replacement for the entire tank. The upper portions didn't seem to make sense because you still had an old lower portion of the tank that wasn't going to probably give you double the life, and the cost was significant to do that. For us, it was a little shocking when we got the numbers back from the tank manufacturers that we contacted to do that. We contacted two tank manufacturers. One was Colombian Tank, who actually did manufacture those tanks, and the other one was Superior Tank down in Southern California. who does a lot of tanks for us. Our recommendations for these tanks is to do some remedial, low cost repair of the coatings on the exterior of the roof to try to get these tanks to last you another 8 to 10 years and then replace them as the report says. That does give you some time to start figuring out the finances on how to pay for those tanks. I'm going to ask for questions on that part of the report at this time, if there are any for the board. Okay. Now we'll go to the,
But our operator has a question.
Will you be coating, you're thinking about coating the top of the tank, you're going to do it in a lighter color and then we'll hope for some reflection. Do we find that is beneficial for?
yeah, it will help, but at this point in time, I think it's the underside's so far along that really it's all about just keeping the rust on the exterior from causing the structural failure.
Got it.
That's really all we want to do with those tanks is prevent any structural failure at this time.
One of the benefits of having those two tanks at the same elevation and the volume in each is that when you go to repair or replace, you can live off either of those tanks while the other's being, and that was a really good move way back when. Anyway,
Nobody other than the people that know what's going on, no customers will see any change in service at all during that process.
Well, except Katie.
Yeah.
I live right there
Yeah.
Well,
by the.
there may be some traffic issues. Yeah, there'll be some traffic, but other than that, nobody will know.
Oh.
you won't be out of water.
Yeah, you won't have a water issue. That's the key part.
Traffic issue.
She's on the booster tank, the
On
bladder tank that's out there.
So, but the valve to shut the bomber tank is beyond that.
Oh, cool.
So she
Yeah.
won't notice it.
Yeah.
Excellent. That's what I like to hear.
The Morelli tank, constructed as part of the first project, the water supply project in 1996. It supplies water to the lower zone into the booster pump that moves water out of the lower zone up to the upper zone. The primary issue for that tank is there's significant rust on the interior of the tank. The report recommends recoating the tank. That's a very common thing for welded steel tanks. You've got a schedule, and 30 years is actually quite long for what the recoat time frame. So that it did well. While reviewing the documents for this presentation, I realized that we missed a second viable option for that tank. The recoat costs are in the order of $247,000. The bomber and tower replacement costs $240 to $250. So you can recoat it. That works. The other option would be to replace that tank with another bolted steel tank. I think it's just it might be just your sequence of the difference would be the sequence and how long you might be able to make a bolted steel tank last versus your coatings. That's so that's one thing that I did come across. The second report regarding adding a second tank to the Morelli site. It is a fairly expensive project, in our view, to be able to get the additional tank there. It will be a smaller volume tank and running at $450,000. The reason that is so much more than the replacement of the bomber and the tower tanks are the fact that we've got to actually develop the site. Dirt work, piping work, foundation work, all that stuff has to be done. Whereas the replacement of the bomber and or tower tanks, all that stuff is done except for the foundation most likely will need to be replaced. one of the pros for replacing the Morelli tank is the fact that you would have a tank that meets current seismic codes.
Okay.
We would propose to put a bolted steel tank there. It's tucked back a little bit off to, as you're looking up the hill, the existing Morelli tank would be off to the right. And then we'd have to put in a retaining wall to make that site big enough to do it. If you don't do that, we will have, when any work is done on the Morelli tank that requires it to be taken offline, there will be need to be some temporary storage of like a 10,000 gallon poly tank there to provide the water service and give the booster pump up to the upper zone and a pot of water to pull out. Okay. Brief summary. What do we got? Questions on that? I'm sure there's questions.
You go over the two options that, as I understand, one option for the existing Morelli tank is recoating and the other is replacing.
Right.
Okay. And what's the cost difference between those two?
They're roughly about the same.
Yeah. So might as well replace.
So
Yeah, is there any reason to recoat it that's not gonna last as long as the rest?
My opinion today is probably that replacing is probably the
Best.
wiser of the two options.
Yeah.
The tanks, the bolted steel tanks did very well. And I think that's partly because they're a coating that is applied in the factory baked on. They don't have any of the environmental issues, moisture in the air, that sort of stuff, as because they're putting it in an oven. And it's all done in the building.
Roof too.
Everything. It comes up on a trailer in parts and pieces that are ready to be bolted together. It's an erector set.
It was really fast. I watched those two.
Yeah, I mean,
No, compared to Morelli to put it together.
yep. There's gonna, and that is true. It will be a faster process. You will not have that tank out of service anywhere near as long.
Welders, there's site weld there, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And site bent.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Wow.
They had a jig and a modified bulldozer that they used to. Seriously, that's how they bent the panels up.
That'd be fun to watch.
They all came in flat sheets. I was wondering how this thing's gonna go together.
That's a lot of coming work.
And then just to be, this is super helpful, what is the, adding the additional second tank at Morelli, the cost on that?
It's about 450.
Okay, that's the, okay.
Yep.
And so, but the replacing of the Morelli tank is the 250.
Ish, yeah.
And the replacing of Balmerton Tower, that doesn't need to be done at the same time.
Right. No.
Recoat those, so-
10 years on that?
Yeah,
8 to 10 years.
once we recover.
And the other thing,
Right,
Yeah.
for those,
what?
we would just be recoding those.
No, replace.
No,
Initially recode. Yeah, initially
to replace.
initially, and I'm not thinking of any extravagant blasted. We're thinking pressure washer, maybe. Get any of the surface rust that you can get off and coat it with Rust-Oleum or whatever. We're just looking to keep that stuff from further deterioration.
And then I guess this is a question more for you, Gary, I think, which is what has the board done historically in terms of financing on these kind of projects?
Self-finance.
Yeah.
Cause we have a capital improvement fund.
and we're averaging $50,000 a year going into that capital. And so in essence, we'd be borrowing from ourselves.
Right.
Getting back, as long as that program continues, we're doing 50,000. There's no reason why that couldn't go up a little bit as well. So if you look at, and there's also a shared expense with Occidental on the project.
Yeah, so we're not paying 100%.
Yep.
What about Redwood?
It's whether or not they're prepared to kick in, percentage. I mean, that's they're financially in a very different state than we are.
What about Redwood Alliance? Would they contribute as well, or?
No, because it's not part of, the way we apportion things is what part of our system supplies our two partners' systems. And so their water comes right off of the water treatment plant. Whereas Occidental relies on, it, has to go all the way up to Market
Yeah.
and come down Hampton to get up there. So the tanks are part of delivering. In a simplistic way is, does the water that we're sharing flow through certain components in our system? If the answer is yes, then they have to participate in the maintenance.
Yeah.
With Occidental, it got a little more complicated because there are things like pressure reducer valves in the system that splits Camp Meeker into two hydraulic zones. We determined a long time, it's like, that's not essential to getting water up to Occidental.
Okay.
Is there a reason that steel rather than, okay, I know you're gonna say expense, but how much more expensive is a stainless tank? Because they're all over the place in wineries of, in the 100,000 gallon range.
The last time I got a quote, it's about 3 times the cost.
Okay,
About a million. They're gonna they want to do it on Fitch, replacing 150,000 gallon tanks with stainless. And it, until the economy turned, we thought we could get 2 of them done for under about $1.5 million, but it looks like they're gonna be about $1 million a piece. But they last 80
they last,
years. 80 years, so if you do the math.
and there's no coating, is there? I mean, stainless is just,
Well, Steve, didn't you do some up north?
No, I mean, you will want to think about the brightness that those come with.
I'm thinking so far as the water storage.
Yeah,
inside.
but the inside, no, you're not gonna touch it. And you can do those either bolted or welded.
And wineries going there recently.
They're going, that's the whole thing that kind of got in my mind, but I wonder if, and I began to think legally, can we even use a secondhand tank from a winery to store potable water?
Why not? It was a food product, not a chemical product. It was a food product, and with proper cleaning and testing, fill it, drain it, fill it, test it. I wouldn't see why you couldn't.
There may be a lot of those on the markets.
Yeah. I don't know how many wineries have that big a tank. I know they've got a lot of little ones. There's a lot of.
You've seen the tank farm at Corbell. Or if Lagunitas goes, I mean, those are some truly huge tanks. Okay, sorry for the diversion. How would you get it here?
Can I back up on the next minute?
Yeah, please do.
For clarification, just get my head around some numbers, specifically for Moriarty. The table 1 is outlining the construction cost for the additional in the report. That's the 442,950
Yeah,
is the estimate for the additional tank,
yes,
correct?
yep,
Replacing the existing tank is another 250 on top of that. Right?
yeah,
Okay, and then the coating of the other 2 tanks. 5,000, 10,000.
yeah, I don't think you're talking even that much.
Okay. Okay.
I think that's an operation, that's something that your operators could probably do. I'm not thinking we're doing a full blast or anything.
Morelli is probably we could say $750,000 up short of the whole thing.
Yeah. Now, the thing about if you decide to replace the Morelli tank, we aren't so concerned about doing it as quickly. Because if we're replacing it, if you lose a little bit of your steel now, who cares? You're tearing it down and throwing it away.
Right. So you would put the additional tank in first?
Oh, absolutely.
And then, because you got whatever's gonna happen to the other tank.
Yeah, if you're going to put the second tank in, that goes in first because that's the tank you're gonna live off of when you do the big tank.
And then what's a reasonable amount of time that this project could be spread out over?
I'd say you probably, if you started construction in 3 years, you'd be fine.
Okay. Okay, we've got a window of 3 years, and we could spread that out whereby we put the new tank in 1 year and then replace Marino maybe a year or two after that.
Yeah, you could probably do the next year. I wouldn't want to spread it much more.
Okay, I just want to get my head around some sort of plan with regards to how we're financing process would be and how we can help the heat not pay ourselves back or look at alternative financing.
Yeah.
Because we did pay off that other loan, which is really where the money from the capital replacement is coming from.
I mean, there is potentially an opportunity to talk to USDA
Right.
for financing. They have lots of money out there for loans. I don't know whether the community would or wouldn't qualify for any grant, but that's something that could be looked at. Last time I talked to them, they had just plenty of money and they were looking for partners to put projects in.
Yeah.
They could do matches too.
Yeah. Which would actually work better for us. Okay.
I have a question for the water operator. I know we updated the allocations for the three-way split, but is there an updated apportionment for the two-way?
I have not done. Would you like me to go recalculate that?
Well, so if we're talking about splitting this with Occidental,
Mhm.
what I currently have for the original agreement is 62.2% for Meeker, 37.8 for Occidental.
From the original, what do you mean by that?
From last year.
The last-
prior.
Yeah.
Prior to the freeway.
Yeah, that was the precious numbers.
Yes, not
Yeah.
the original,
Yeah.
the practice numbers.
So they were, yeah.
We just stick with that.
Would that change? It doesn't.
It does.
It's so, you can see the numbers year to year, and they're 250,000 gallons one way or the other. They don't change.
Yeah.
That's the number to work on your estimate as far as how we would share the costs.
Yeah.
The other question is, to what degree is Occidental obligated to participate in this program since they are benefiting from?
Well, I think per your new agreement that they are partners and they agreed with that.
Yeah, they
that they are
agreed to
partners.
participate in maintenance.
Yes, they will.
Right. So they're obligated in that.
Yeah, basically all three tanks. I mean, Morelli for sure,
Right, right.
but basically all three tanks. And you may find that trying to pull cash from them would be difficult to self-finance,
Right.
but potentially going with the federal loan and then
They
partnered
can be
in.
partnered in portion
And-
accordingly.
Yeah, and put something on the tax rolls for X dollars. It will certainly be less painful. I can't speak for them, but I'm assuming that.
Okay.
I think a real first step here is to share this memo with Occidental. The sooner
Yes.
we begin the grief paradigm,
Yes.
the quicker they get to acceptance.
Do you want to do that in a joint powers meeting, or would you like it to be sent to them and they can?
Well, your joint powers wouldn't include, I mean, this wouldn't include Alliance.
I think we should just ask to have it on their agenda and present it there, send it to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I should be able to go to that.
Okay.
But yeah, send them the BNR memo so that they've got an idea of what's going on. And present it as an informational item for them to think about, but it's something that's gotta happen.
I'll meet you there.
We'll have a good time.
Huh?
You know who'll be there.
Right.
Your
No,
volumetric rates.
And again, we're saying we've got a window of about 3 years before we have to do this. That max.
Yeah.
So let's present it as 2
Right.
years. Max.
The process needs to start 2 years.
Yeah.
Especially if you're going for a loan outside too, that's going to add in time.
Yeah, might even be better to do it earlier.
Because once again, I'll defer back to the budget, which is coming up. We put this into consideration, but we'll present our preliminary budget tonight, but we can't finalize until I get a better handle on what we'll actually incur for expenses in 2026,
Right.
27. So we've got maybe over the next couple of months before we have to approve the final. Assuming we're going to start the project in 26, 27. More to come on that.
More to come on that. I think the initial step though is
Our partners and
letting our partners know what's gonna happen.
What, is there anything else that you want? Do you want proposals for engineering services? What? Do you want proposals to look at a loan with USDA? This memo would be the basis of what we would have to send to them, but there's going to be quite a bit more information that we would have to pull
I
together.
think that would be a great place to start.
Yeah.
Okay. I would give a proposal to, I'll pull together a proposal to get this memo updated to what they would want for a PER.
Great. And that will also help me with some looking at the budget plan.
Right.
And I will add that, I'll have to add the missing piece to that.
Okay, great.
Yeah. So I will get that proposal to you your next meeting.
Beautiful. Wonderful.
Any other board input? on this? Okay, thank you so much.
Sure, thank you.
Very, very helpful.
Yeah.
Good one.
Healthy Forest Treatment Grant Program proposal thing. Hi.
So, well, I was happy to come today. I'm sorry that you don't have Jason, who's our forester working on the project, who designed this project, but I'm ready to share a little bit about this proposal. And Katie said that I was making a presentation, so I prepared some slides. But it doesn't have to, it doesn't have to be very long. Did it go through the
It did. Let me just find the top of it. Oh, there we go. Okay.
And then we can dive in, and most of the content you're about to see is from the documents that I sent you, so kind of your review if you've already read through it. But sometimes it's nice to just read through things together and talk about it. So I'm just gonna come a little closer. All right, so the title of our proposal, our ambitious county-wide proposal, is the Sonoma County Partnership for Community Forest and Climate Resilience. And Katie, if you press the slideshow button at the top right, I think that'll at the top. Oh, the other side.
Slideshow.
Yes, I think that'll make it go full screen.
Great.
Yay!
Oh, I think you did presenter view next, I think.
Okay.
Oh, there you go. Okay, and this is a proposal to CAL FIRE's Forest Health Grant, and it's proposed by Conservation Works, which is a local nonprofit in partnership with the two RCDs. I just put the Goldridge RCD logo there because we are the West County RCD, and we're proposing it to CAL FIRE. And we received we submitted a very similar proposal last year, and we weren't funded, but we were encouraged to resubmit by CAL FIRE. Go ahead and this one. So just as a recap, what's the purpose of the Forest Health Grants? It is aimed at providing for more resilient and sustained forests in California to ensure the future existence of forests, while also mitigating climate change, protecting communities from wildfire risk, strengthening local economies, and improving California's water and air. I promise I won't go super slow through this whole thing, but I did want to provide some context. And it really is looking for proposals from regionally based partners and collaboratives, which our proposal very much has a collaborative team behind it. And yes, ultimately it's about the conservation of forests. This is a little different from some of CAL FIRE's other grant programs that are more focused on wildfire safety, community, life, property safety. This one's really about forest health. And so our proposal has a specific focus on issues like sudden oak death and invasive species and the retention of long-lived tree species so that they can retain their carbon and provide long-lasting environmental benefits. So a little different from CAL FIRE's usual suppression, focus, which is great. And these are, I'll just say too, that this is a very large program. CAL FIRE is more and more offering these enormous grants for millions and millions of dollars, and they want capable entities to be able to take those millions and sort of distribute them to individual projects so that CAL FIRE is not involved in every little thing. So if you go to the next slide, our proposal is that it has lots of partners and lots of pieces. So again, the applicant is Conservation Works. It's not the RCD, although we are working hand in hand with Conservation Works. And the grant period, if we are awarded, would be early 2027 and go for 4 years through the end of 2030. And those are, so again, the projects proposed by Conservation Works, the RCDs, and then also a couple of nonprofits, including Safer West County. And Meeker Rec and Park District is the only public property that's partnering in this proposal. The rest of the properties are private. So that is kind of cool for us because public properties have a hard time affording forest health improvements. So yeah, next. And so this proposal, just to give you like a wide, step back and look at the whole thing, we have 5 different project areas. Way up north near the Mendocino border, to the west of Lake Sonoma is the Cooley Ranch project. And then bringing us back down to West County, in Guerneville is the Oddfellows Recreation Club. We're doing a shaded field right there. Up again to the north is a Lytton Springs area project, mostly centered on Gallo Vineyards. And then down again, West County is our Bohemian Highway project area, which this property is one part of that project. And then back out east is the Upper Mark West Creek project area. So we're trying to hit many corners of the county and the forested areas and really serve at-risk communities. So go ahead. And if at any time you have questions, you can feel free to ask. Or you can always loop back to things later at the end. So then this is our Bohemian Highway area set of projects. And it includes, of course, the Camp Meeker Rec and Park District. Also the adjacent property with private landowner David Green. And as well as the Two Sisters Place, which is the name for Christopher H.A. Peters Wiggs property, just south of here, if you're familiar with them. Alliance Redwoods and Westminster have kind of a combined project, and Mount Gilead and Kistler Vineyard have a combined project. And these are projects that are mostly targeting ridge tops around camps and communities. So that's kind of part of the reason for locating the projects where you see them. And we came up with these projects based on a lot of input. It was formed by the members of the Bohemian Collaborative, our forester, Jason Wells, Andrew Carrillo, he was helping Safer West County at the time with project development, going out and having conversations with landowners. And we also focused on properties that had developed forest management plans and had the expertise of a forester saying, this is a reasonable and accessible place to do work. And so, Brian, I wanted to just give you a second to say, did you have time with Jason one-on-one when he was formulating this, and Katie and anyone else in the room? Oh, we did. Okay, I wasn't there, so yeah.
With marked the property on several occasions with him.
Okay.
Through the collaborative. And then he also had St. Dorothy's had done forest management.
Right. Yes.
And they handed that over to us when we acquired the property.
Okay, great. Yeah. And I think maybe at your last board meeting, he was present too.
Yes.
Okay.
He reiterated this project and very much mirroring the last one. They did not get the grant for.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Katie and I walked the property with them and kind of saw where the burn units were.
Yeah.
set up.
Yeah. Okay. I was there for that. Yeah, I was gonna say, but I wasn't there for some of the preliminary stuff. So checking on that. Okay, great. We can continue. And so a lot of this is a review since we've already seen this. And so I hope this isn't just telling me if you were like, we already know. But I'll just go over it. So the goals of this project are to remove trees that are infected with sudden oak death. That's mostly dead trees, but also some living that are obviously infected. We're going to be doing some management of invasive species, mostly French broom in the understory. Huge component of this is reducing wildfire fuels, ladder fuels, and improving tree spacing. So to achieve those goals, we're going to be doing thinning, mastication, timber harvest, burn unit prep and broadcast burning, pile burning, and site preparation for planting native trees. And I'll go through each of those. The project will be managed by Jason Wells, our professional forester, and Goldridge will be supporting the project and permitting. I'm very excited. We're all excited. Actually, your property in particular is the project out of all 5 in the entire county that we're most excited about because it's really the coolest things here. So
We're pretty excited. Yeah.
So we're going to zone in on just those little pieces that are the shapes you're going to see here. So on the south side, this is just the shape of the project. And I believe it was mostly identified as an area that was accessible and had some distance from the community. But we want to do as much work as we could on the Rec and Park property. So what you see here is the blue color indicates that we're going to be doing a combination of mastication throughout where feasible, and then timber harvest, selectively harvesting. The stripes show that we're going to be doing site prep and planting to replant in canopy gaps with native plants, and then pile burning throughout to reduce the fuel load from the work that we did. And then that southern like lavender kind of pinkish one is on the Two Sisters property. But it's very similar. It's going to be just thinning, no harvesting though. You can go on. Go.
So if I'm reading that right, on our side of the property, it's site prep and plant is the follow-up, and on, for instance, it's pile burn
Yes.
as secondary?
Yes,
Yeah.
that's right. That's right. Yeah, thank you.
Well, that was actually one of my questions. And then I guess the other, just to understand, on the, there's mention of herbicide, and so what is the plan with herbicide? I know there's definitely gonna be lots of neighbors are gonna be asking, and then so understanding that process.
Yeah, and I will get into that.
Okay,
We'll wait
perfect.
till-
Sure, yeah. And then on the harvest, and maybe you're getting into that also, but would love to just understand the sort of what's the selection process, and then how finances work on that.
Yes, absolutely.
So
We'll
either
talk
now
about
or
it.
whenever it makes sense.
I think we'll hold it. 'Cause
Oh,
we'll,
yeah.
we'll get into it.
Thank you.
And then about that, the difference between doing the pile burning versus not pile burning. And I'm remembering now that we're masticating on your side of the property, which we're going to talk about soon. But it is a method that will kind of make pile burning unnecessary because it's going to take this material and really like chew it and grind it and deposit it on the ground, kind of like a carpet, almost a mulch, like a very stringy mulch. And so taking, that woody material and just kind of shredding it and putting it on the ground. And that's why we won't be pile burning. We're just going to let that kind of stay in place, decompose, and act as a bit of a buffer mulcher, kind of. Yeah. And it's also kind of the cheapest way to get this work done. It's very efficient. So that's something we were able to do on your side, but I believe on the neighbor's side, the Two Sisters property, they were not interested in using heavy machinery and would prefer to have a hand crew do the thinning. So different treatments. All right, continue. So
That'd be
this,
it'd be super interesting to see the side by side there over time, right? Because that'll be like, there'll be a line.
It will.
You can kind of see how, I have not had a chance to see that, the reaction.
Yeah, and I mean, you can always kind of see what you prefer.
Yeah,
too,
sure. Yeah.
That's kind of neat.
Because we're certainly not the last time that we're gonna be doing
Right.
that.
Yes, it's an ongoing thing.
Yep.
And so this is it's hard to tell, but we're on the far west side near Tower Road. And so way off there. And so we've got a mix happening here. I'll focus on that pink sliver. That's our broadcast burn unit, the only broadcast burn unit on the property. I'm trying to remember exactly why. Oh, I think it was because it's too steep to do mastication.
Mm-hmm.
And it also seemed like it was containable enough and like good, the siding of it was good for broadcast burning. But again, I wish Jason was here to explain more, but we can always ask him questions later.
Where is that?
That's between, there's the kind of path that runs from, so the top right corner of that is right where the tower tank is.
Mhm.
And then there's the narrow
Got
path, which is.
Oh,
the
that's
upper
really
line.
super steep.
Right, and then it goes up past the living tower.
Yeah, okay, got it,
So
yeah.
That's the right side.
Got it.
The left side of it is the one that's down below the fire road.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, interesting. Okay, so it has those two
Yeah.
containment lines. That's interesting. Okay.
Yeah. That's great. So yep, the pink color shows that we're gonna be preparing that area for burning, which we'll get into it more, but that's really just kind of working around the edges, making sure that we've got good clearance of vegetation so that when that unit does burn, it's not gonna spark excessively outside of the unit. There's also usually some cutting of line around the unit so that we have bare mineral soil, so people can be there waiting or containing. And then just south of that is our harvest area that's more suitable for mastication. So we'll go in and use that masticator equipment, and then do our selective harvest. And as said before, we're going to do site prep and planting throughout that unit as well. And then down below that, again, that pink area that's thinning, I think is on the David Green property. It does come on just a little bit, and we'll see. Yeah. Yeah. Well, actually, I think maybe that margin, that whole margin is David's property.
that's right.
Yeah. And then, so there's a little tiny bit of the thinning that's coming over based on the topography. So that's the rundown for that area. And then I'll go into, and I guess you can see too that this is kind of it's perched up on a ridge. It's kind of working on that ridge and then just off of the side of the ridge, and it's excluding the steeper areas below. So we're really our objective is like to work on top of the hill above the community, get this sort of like clearance, clean things up. And then I think we talked about in our hike, which was eventually we can do more of the slope management with prescribed fire. Once we get kind of like the tops really secured and open and ready, then we can do more of the downslope with fire in the future. So it's an incremental phase by phase. We're kind of working towards something like that. All right. And so then I'll just talk a little bit more about each of the practices. Yeah. So, and I love pictures. I think it's very helpful to see and think, so this is a masticating head that's attached to a boom mounted excavator, but you can also have them on skid steers and other things. I'm not sure what will be the tool of choice for this area. But like I said, masticators work by, they're kind of like a big grinding, chewing head. So it's going to take brush and woody debris and everything on the forest floor and just kind of grind it up. It is pretty big, it's a big disruptive, event to the vegetation, but to the ground, it's actually not that bad because you can see the tracking, tracks that the equipment's on kind of gently go over the ground and leave behind, like I said, this kind of nice carpet of mulch material. We can only use this on areas that are below 40% in slope. But we've targeted those areas on the property. So it's a good fit for the places where we're going to use it. And I believe this is going to be the first thing we do. And then we're going to follow with the harvest. So nice. I don't know if you have any questions.
This was what was done. There's this, you're on Drayton Road coming into Occidental, and it'd be like up on your left. There was like 2 years ago or something. It was like all of a sudden it was like, whoa, they did something over there.
Yeah.
Does anyone know if that's what masticated is?
It's the county's hideous version of a masticator. It's a
Oh no, not right on the
kind of mowing.
Not the sort of like on the side of the roads, but it's like that hillside.
Because it's on an arm like that and it reaches over.
Okay.
But it's a spinning chain type of.
Yeah. Huh.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not familiar with this. What
Yeah.
you're talking about. But yeah, commonly used.
Yeah.
Very common.
It stands out. It's like, oh, that looks nice.
I think it's because it's an older, cheaper piece of machinery.
Yeah.
Those are very expensive.
Yeah.
There's chains for your massive things.
They do.
Probably ever still one of those, one of his tractors. And shoot the hell out of everyone's on Lisbon.
Right. Yeah. So then we'll talk a little bit about the timber harvest. So we'll be harvesting redwood and a little bit of Doug fir. And the goals for the harvest are to improve spacing. Really want to open things up and create more growing space for the residual trees so that they can come. We're trying to encourage old growth here. So they need space to grow. And we're going to be selecting, and what we leave behind is going to be a mix of sizes and age classes in the canopy, so that we have that benefit of biodiversity and the sustainable, and that it's going to have this regeneration, succeeding generations to come. And the other goal is reducing the vertical fuel continuity too. So for fire hazard, we want to really just open things up side to side and up and down. And so to achieve that, we're going to be thinning out fairy rings for the most part and dense stands of Doug fir. The trees that we thin that are smaller than 10 inches in diameter will either give those to Green Valley Farm and Mill for their use to make wood products. They have this small diameter wood business that they're starting up and infrastructure that they're starting. It's really cool. And it's all about trying to give a second life or, purpose to the smaller material wood. And if we can't do that, then it'll be suitable for pile and burning. That's okay. But anything that's the trees in the 10 to 24 inch diameter range are what we're going to be selling for lumber. And I think on the next slide, there's more about that. Yes. So redwood's the only tree with significant commercial value. So we're really going to focus on redwood, but we'll also be removing some Douglas fir, and the cost of removing the fir will be supplemented by the sale of the redwoods. We're not going to be harvesting very much. There's 23,000 standing board feet per acre, because we have a very densely stocked forest here. And we're only going to limit a harvest to about 1,000 board feet per acre. So it's just a fraction of what's available, and so it'll feel nice to have it opened up, but it won't be. It won't feel, certainly it won't feel like we've logged the forest. There'll still be lots and lots of trees left. So getting into the sale, like the revenue from the harvest will be reinvested back into the project because it's a requirement of the grant, that we do that. And it's also going to help us make some necessary road improvements to do the harvest. And so we're going to be improving road crossings and constructing landings. And as a side note, Jason was excited to give you the idea that the timber landings could also be used as parking sites in the future when you open it up, to parking for public access. The revenue from the harvest it'll count as a match in our grant application. So it's going to generate about $80,000, and we've been able to say that will be coming back into the project, and that's matching dollars to our grant proposal. So we hope that really improves the proposal of CAL FIRE. And CAL FIRE, when Jason talked to the representatives, they were very excited that we were doing timber harvest because they said that was rare. Not a lot of other forest health grant applicants were doing harvest. They were all doing, if they're doing any biomass utilization, it was like cogen, electricity, like sending chips to an electricity generator, and not producing logs. And they're mostly excited about logs. I mean, it's a high value use. And then, so we're still kind of figuring it out, but when we do the sale, the money will be held by conservation in a separate account and carefully tracked so that it's not mixed in with anything else, and we can really see a draw from that one account as we're making those road improvements that I mentioned. So I'll pause here and see. Well, actually, there's maybe one more slide about. Yeah. Okay. So here again, just for the record, the Forest Health Guidelines. Or Forest Health Grant Program has some strict requirements, and it says that the harvest must promote carbon storage, which we will be doing. The harvest must be compatible with achieving a resilient forest with stable carbon that provides all these co-benefits. Obviously, that's what we're here for. We must track the revenue carefully, and the revenue must be reinvested back into the project. So just for the record, we're doing all those things. And then how we're going to be permitting the harvest is we're going to be using a special exemption, the CAL FIRE Forest Fire Prevention Exemption. And just something to note about that is that we don't need a full-on timber harvest plan, which if you have heard of other harvests in the area, you might know that they have these very elaborate harvest plans, which is because we're in California and we have strict environmental regulations. It's a good thing. But we are able to avoid having to do this harvest plan because the activities we're doing are very restrictive. And one of the restrictions is that we're not allowed to take that many trees and not the largest trees. We have to take mostly smaller trees so that the trees that are remaining are actually bigger, and we've increased the average size of the tree. And to that end, no tree larger than 26 inches at diameter base height can be removed. So we're going to be taking kind of that middle cohort of trees, leaving all the largest ones, and focusing, well, we're selling the kind of like middle cohort of trees and then removing a lot of the smaller trees because they are the fire hazard that we're worried about. Okay, that's the last slide on timber harvest. So if there's any questions, I'll try and answer.
Is it one company that you'd be working with for the timber harvest? Like from the beginning, you would pull them in and they would be doing whatever trees you decide and.
Yeah, there's a couple different players. There's the licensed timber operator, and then there's also the logging contractor. So there's at least two different entities there. So they may work together, they might be separate. But we would work with one team, kind of one cohesive team for the whole thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's the time frame for the harvest after the start of the project?
It's a great question. I think we're looking, I think we'll be awarded in January of 27, and I don't think that we'll be doing this until 28.
Okay.
So we have time to set up our permits and do the flagging, marking, and all of that. I believe we won't actually start the harvest until 28.
Okay. So there's the mulching or the.
We might do the masticating first.
The masticating,
Yeah. That might happen in 27. Maybe in the fall. We'll see how fast we can move.
And give us enough time to warn everybody in the community.
Yeah.
We're gonna start seeing like logs leaking on the roads and wondering what's going on. So,
Absolutely.
like,
We're gonna want to work closely with you on messaging and everything. Yeah.
I think that's the last.
Will you be accessing
There should be a few more. Sorry.
accessing through Green's property?
Yeah.
Or will you be accessing through Meeker or mentioned through Green property?
Both, I think. But I don't have.
That was my understanding in talking to Jason, is that the upper section is coming from Greens and the lower section along the Hampton Fire Road would be coming into Hampton.
Okay, that's yes. Correct. And I can give you a map or provide more information afterwards. That's a good question. All right, and then we're getting to pile burning, which probably you guys are familiar with. This is so common now that it's no mystery anymore. But so for those units where we're doing pile burning, we're going to be piling that material into piles about that size, kind of 4x4, 6x6. They are left to dry out for a year. Sometimes they have a tarp or kind of like plastic covering to help them stay dry while they're curing. Come back and burn them. And we will have a contractor doing the burning, but we may also have support from our several wonderful prescribed fire organizations like the Good Fire Alliance that has volunteers. We would also love to have residents who are curious about burning to come and participate in burning. Pile burning is kind of like a safe and community friendly activity. That would be great. We are going to have to be careful about where we put the piles because slope matters. So the area can't be too sloped, and it should be placed near skid trails in areas where there's not a lot of vegetation hanging down towards the pile that could get caught. So we're going to be doing this kind of like in flatter open areas.
And I guess just one question on that, like we went through a project here where we were involved in selecting the contractor, and with Biswell, who did some pile burn.
Oh,
A bunch of us got to go out and do that as volunteers also.
Yeah.
Is the process wise, is this like, who is making those determinations on like, is that through Jason? Is that through the RCD? Is that through Conservation Works? Or how does that sort of process happen?
Yes, so great question. So we'll be Conservation Works.
Are we involved, I guess?
Yeah. So Conservation Works will be the one that actually hire the contractor. They'll do a bid process. And I think it'd be wonderful if you guys were part of it. I'll have to make sure there's no problem with that, but I don't see why you wouldn't be. That makes all the sense in the world that you guys would have some kind of vote in our process as we select contractors. So.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be great because it was an interesting process when we went through and looked at it the first time, and there was quite a range of of styles, and there were lots of great things about working with this, well, some challenges, but it'd be great to be able to contribute in that process.
There was some leftover files.
Yes,
Yeah, I'm
there
wondering if those are curing this or ever
It's-
sat down with. I think it's been over here. Permanent.
Depends on when you ask.
Yes, there's interesting.
Well, we would definitely want to hear about your lessons learned,
Yes.
you know,
Absolutely.
and this is, you know, a public property, so we want to be especially careful about
Yeah,
it.
no, we should be very open and very clear.
Yeah. And just, you know, the cognizant of like, you know, how it looks and what the experience is like,
Yeah.
and make sure that
Oh.
there's as few impacts to the residents as possible. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
There's also tie-in with academic space.
That's what it, that was the next question. Do you need exclusive access to the property and the existing road infrastructure while you're doing this work? We've got some major projects, in particular the road projects
Mhm.
coming up, and they've got a tight timeline.
Oh, exclusive, as in like no other projects happening at the same time?
Well, I don't, do you require that there be no other projects happening? And we haven't asked, we don't have a contractor selected on that yet, so
Oh, yeah.
that one wouldn't be happening also probably till, well, 2027, I think at the earliest.
Yeah, I don't know if will there be overlap in the location, like the area where, yeah, okay. Well, we'll figure that out.
We'll figure it out.
I think we're very, very flexible. I mean, like, if, I don't think that there's any reason that there's not, like, there's no, predisposition that they can't be there, but we'll just make sure
Yeah,
that they are there to oversee
That's a
it.
coordinator.
Yeah, I think it can be done.
Because this work wouldn't be happening until 2028, right?
Yes,
Mastication would be earlier.
Oh, I see. So, yeah, oh, okay, I get what you're saying, yeah.
it might
Or
overlap.
selective timber harvest.
Yeah.
But so then you still have to be able to get the masticator up there.
And I'm not sure, I mean, I assume that they're gonna use the roads to get the equipment up there, so perhaps like some of that work needs to be done before they use the road. Or maybe they can go around certain
Yeah, they
areas.
can go around.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely an off-road vehicle.
Yeah,
But,
there are more ways than one, the firewood.
yeah.
If there's road improvements
Mhm.
in that plan, does that need to cross over with whatever road improvements are ag and open space?
Yes.
And
No sense in improving the road.
Because it's right, exactly.
I did,
There might be some coordination necessary there.
yes.
Yeah.
I checked in with Jason, who had seen John's his plans, his assessment of the road system, and I asked if any of the erosion points that John had identified were the same as what Jason was addressing, and he said no.
Oh,
But we can make sure that they're talking to each other and coordinating on that for sure.
probably most of the road work you guys are talking about is on Green's property.
I don't know. I think some of it's on your property too, but I could be wrong.
Pretty
No,
sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's coming out of, Willow Creek. I can never remember the name. Willow Creek, yeah, Willow Creek into the upper section of Mars.
Wouldn't there probably be some along the Weber Road? That would be,
I don't know if it'd be, necessarily be,
like where the culvert is, where the, well.
oh yeah, there's definitely some major work being done there, yeah.
Cause that'd be impossible to move them through.
Yeah, you would be able to do that.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, good questions. I'll take these back and
Unfortunately, you've got John Green there too, who knows
Right.
the extent of that way.
Yeah.
yeah, we're lucky.
He wrote it all.
All right, and then I don't want to keep you here all night. So this is our broadcast burn unit prep, that little sliver that we saw near Tower Road. So yeah, the preparation, like I said, is just to really make sure that the edges of the unit are secure. And that means, you know, we're bringing down standing snags or other kind of low-lying, low-hanging vegetation, creating those fuel breaks by hand. Or using roads if they exist, but I don't believe those on a road. I think we're gonna have to do a lot of this by hand. And then the next slide gets into the actual burn. Broadcast burning is proposed on that western unit. The Hampton Bomber Spring unit is not anticipated to have broadcast burning due to the inholdings and property boundary issues, but this could be adjusted at a later date pending input from the neighbors. And broadcast burning, of course, is a method of eliminating vegetation. We'll be burning with drip torches or flame torches. And we burn from the top down, so from the top of the slope, backing down the slope instead of the other way, to control the rate of spread. And we typically have support for CAL FIRE and local fire when we do these kinds of burn operations. So it's kind of like an all hands. Everyone's been informed. Everyone's well aware. We have aid coming from all around, and we also expect that Fire Forward and the Good Fire Alliance will also be involved. So it'll be a team effort and hopefully fun and safe. That's our goal. That's the rule. Any questions about that? No.
Good Fire Alliance is doing a control burn at Bohemia Ecological Preserve, and it has been talked. I mean, it is on like every social email. Like I've gotten like 30 emails from like all these different land plots and everything. So they're really good at communicating.
Good. Yeah. And we can learn from them too, you know, and just kind of copy what they've done.
Totally.
It's getting the word out effectively.
Mhm.
And that's, I mean, again, I just want to stress that too, that like you guys are our partners in public communications around this project. Like we want to make sure that we really, you know, do that right, because this is going to be very visible and just want it to go well.
Yeah.
Next. Okay, yep. And then finally, we in just select areas of our timber harvest units, we're going to be filling those canopy gaps with native trees and shrubs. Approximately only 20% of the area, so it's not broadly done. This is where we get into the herbicide, because in order to plant seedlings, you have to prepare the area that they're going to be planted in. And we do have some competing vegetation. The tan oak in particular comes back pretty heartily, but sadly the tan oak, we're not really invested in keeping it because it keeps getting infected and dying and causing a fire hazard. So we really, in the areas where we're going to establish new trees, mostly redwood, we may need to use herbicide to keep back the regrowth of tan oak. So that will be used very sparingly and very targeted. The way we do it is when the tan oak is cut, you go and paint right on the stump. It's not like a foliar spray or like a broadcast spray. It's like very carefully painted on the stump. We might use a little bit of foliar spray on Scotch broom if there's not another way to use it or another way to control it. But our preferred alternative to herbicide is prescribed fire. So we'll see if we can do that. We can also sometimes like pile burn right on top of broom to kill it. So we'll try different things, but there's a chance we may use herbicide on that. Yeah, and if there's any questions about herbicide application, I can pass them on to the applicator, because I know everyone has questions about herbicide.
What is the herbicide being used?
I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, so that'd be good to know.
Yeah.
And to know if there's different options. Also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, definitely. I think it's a glyphosate-based one, but
That would be my guess, unfortunately.
Yeah.
there's others too, and we'll see if there's
Yeah.
a better version.
Yeah, which should just for probably everyone knows, but glyphosate is Roundup. Yeah. So
Yeah,
be good if there was something else.
totally.
As the commercial said, this stuff works.
I mean, if it's very targeted, especially on like the tan oak, like you wouldn't do like broad spraying for Scotch broom where it would kind of get everywhere and.
No, it's really on in the leaves of that plant. Yeah,
Okay.
but I think that the risk is mostly to the applicator, really, when they're putting that stuff
Yeah,
on.
sure.
But
Yeah.
we will only work with licensed applicators, so they'll be well protected.
Yeah.
But yeah, and we can also, I can see like if there's like a time frame where like maybe we apply the herbicide and we say, okay, trails are closed for, you know, a week or something. I don't know what it would take, but we can look into that too. People like,
Yeah, that'd be helpful.
Because then when it dissipates, like it just kind of dissipates, right? Because it's like
I think, I-
Or is it?
yeah, I
infected
don't,
around
I don't
here?
really know, but I think it gets absorbed into the plant and then maybe also like breaks down, like the sun breaks it down. I'm not really totally sure, but I don't think it stays in the environment.
It's only like we keep doing it over and over again, where things kind
Yeah,
of exposure risk increases and it
Right.
kind of becomes saturated with it, so.
and also I think drift, like wind drift is an issue, but it's and that's more of like an issue when you're in open kind of agricultural settings versus here, it's not going to be as easy to carry. And also we're not using that much.
Okay.
All right, next.
There,
Yes.
go ahead, sorry.
No, yeah, just to quickly say what we replanting with, it's mostly year-old redwood seedling plugs. But we may also mix in a couple other natives, California hazelnut, nutmeg, and Doug fir. And again, this is to kind of like fill in the canopy gap. So we're looking for trees that can be canopy trees, which hazelnut actually isn't. It's an understory tree, but we love hazelnut, so we can sprinkle some of that in.
I do have a question about Doug fir though, just because, you know, right
Yeah.
now there's so many being cut down and they fall.
Yes.
Houses, like, would we have a choice to not plant those, or is there a reason why we would include those?
Yeah, that's a good question. When I saw this, I felt the same way. I was like, I feel like the community has already said that they're a little cautious about
Yeah,
Doug fir because they fall.
yeah,
So we can revisit that and we'll see.
I mean, that's all the ones that the community's coming and asking us
I would
to
say
cut down.
probably harvest all the Doug fir.
Yeah, right.
Including the stuff down here.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Get it out.
get it out. So
Cone
that would be my
berry.
concern, to maybe not plant that.
Yeah. Good. I
Because it
think
has like
that.
a lifespan, it's usually shorter than, a redwood, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
80 years. It'll be as old as your tank if you get that really old. And then it'll fall on the tank.
Yeah.
Is that an example of a one-year redwood?
No.
Yeah.
That's a weird AI. joke,
Yeah,
though. I
that
couldn't find
definitely
something.
looks like some weird, a tree.
Yeah. It looks more like a Doug fir actually, but I think that's the last one.
That was awesome, yeah.
Yeah, so that's all I prepared, but yeah, if there are other questions, let me know. I think what we're asking for is your letter of commitment to the proposal and then if we're awarded, we can get into all of the details.
I would move that we authorize the president to sign the letter of commitment with one change is I'm uneasy with the first person personal pronoun here for a public agency. So I'd like to change to say Camp Meeker Recreation Park District as opposed to an individual because I'm not acting as an individual. I don't own this property. We own the property.
No, that makes sense.
So that's the only thing I would change here is just replace I with Camp Meeker Recreation Park District.
Okay. I'll make the change and then I can have him e-sign it.
Yes, perfect.
I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Go forth and harvest.
Yeah.
I have one.
Masticate and harvest.
Yes,
Is there anything included for community outreach within the grant?
there is. Yes, I'm so glad you asked because I forgot about that part. So, yes, there's going to be a small budget for Safe Rose County to do kind of the ongoing work that they already do. We can also have kind of like task them with helping you with outreach, if that would be helpful. Because I think that they'll be eager to do that. And let's see, there's also our own staff time available, so we can also help with like preparing press releases, signage, whatever would be helpful. Yeah.
Recycling stuff like old school.
Thank you for that 10-minute presentation.
Oh my gosh, was it only 10? I feel like it was like
Awesome.
We should have Bohemia Collaborative branded lumber. We need a stand. So people buy the locally produced lumber.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Has anyone ever done that? Branded the lumber that is harvested?
I have heard of that. It's like yeah, I can't think of the exact example, but
Yeah.
I feel like Green Valley should do that.
oh, definitely, definitely. Local wood, yeah. All right, thank you so much.
I mean, thank you
Thanks.
so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very
Thanks.
much for coming.
Okay.
Let's move on here. Shall we consolidate the election?
Yes, yes.
Yes. Who's in favor of consolidation? I'm making the motion that we consolidate the election and adopt resolution 2026-004.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
And
And we'll move quickly on to the appropriation bit.
Yeah, our program limit for 2026 to 27.
Sorry, can I ask one question on the election?
It's too late. We voted on it.
You're stuck.
Well, I'm not to change anything, but just to understand, the timeline. You were explaining this, Katie, and if you don't mind, if it's easy, if it's not.
I will
Later.
but
But
otherwise
just the
I will.
timelines of the
Sure.
application and if other candidates and just understanding that would be. Or if it's complicated, you could email us later.
I mean, it certainly should be talked about here. I believe it's July 1st to August. But I don't have it right in front of me. So I can send that out.
Great, yeah, it's all good. But there is a date by which we'll know before then if anyone else has applied.
And everybody running better apply by that date.
Yes, that's what, so that's what I'm trying to understand.
If nobody else runs, if he decides to get incumbent, then there's no election.
And it's not, but it's still necessary for any incumbents to sign up by.
And then you'll be appointed by the.
Exactly.
supervisor.
Yeah, so I just want to get those dates very,
And
very.
it saves us money too.
Yeah, exactly. So.
The term to complete the paperwork is July 13th to August 7th. If any members of the public find against them, they will not be unopposed. The only requirement for right now is the July 1 deadline for.
But there is a date before July 13th that anyone else would have to apply, right? Believe.
Before August 7th.
It's August.
Okay. For some reason, I thought it was earlier date.
Just go down and sign up right now. That's avoid the rush. There's no reason that all of us who are running can't just sign up and get it out of the way so that there's no, I forgot, sorry.
How do we sign up? Like, how?
I will send it.
Okay.
Thank you.
I have no idea.
You will have to go
But
down.
starting
and
with this bucket.
sure vote.
Santa Rosa.
Okay.
raise your hand.
Yeah.
This
And it's out at the airport. now. It's not-
Oh, they moved it. Wow.
They moved it.
Interesting.
Construction.
No, because all the county
Everything's
offices
done
are
up there.
trying to move out to the airport.
Mm.
Because the county center should be condemned and bulldozed. It's a health hazard. Okay, you made a motion about,
I started,
Okay.
so we are resolution, I'm sorry, let's go back. The approval of the district appropriations limit for the fiscal year 26-27 is set at 414,366. This is exclusive of any enterprise revenue or grant money. This is basically the amount of money that we can, maximum amount of money we can spend as determined by the county. So with that said, first of all, any questions on the appropriations? Limit.
we have no choice.
And then, may I make a motion that we approve the appropriation limit for 2026-27 in the amount of $414.66.
I'll second.
Great.
All in favor?
Aye.
Good. Now we can get down to the meat and potatoes.
Preliminary budget.
We have to deal with this.
Yes.
Yes.
This, wait a minute.
So something we can decide whether the district or the county is paying them.
You get to decide that.
That's only if, it needs to be determined for the entire election. My understanding is who's paying for.
Oh, the candidates. We've always said the candidate. You're leaving?
I had two already.
Okay,
Can we do a quick budget review?
let's do a quick,
Preliminary budget.
go for it, John.
All right, and Vicky, step in if I misstep. Katie and Vicky and I have met a couple of times in the last month to work through this. This is probably the most concise and accurate budget that we have had in the time I've been here. So for starting with the park and rec, the way this is, it's pretty clear. You've got your final budget for 25-26, your actuals through 5/31, our June estimates and our total actuals, and then our proposed budget for 26-27. There's some changes in some of these numbers, and I will go through them very briefly to give you the rationale for anything that we've changed. So you can see our various revenue streams. Essentially, what we're guaranteed is the property tax. The secured, the unsecured, which will vary depending on how the year goes. Interest earned, $2,000, that's from our Wells Fargo account. The rental fees for Anderson Hall, we're forecasting at $5,000. It's an under forecast. I believe we will do better based on Katie's excellent sale processing. And then our rental fees for the post office. That gives us a total revenue of $142,500. The our GL account 5101, which says ETC, is actually communications. Just didn't come across there. We're rounding up to $2,000. Janitorial services, 1,500, and that's based on the amount of that's based on a $300 cleaning fee, based on the amount of rental activity we can see on the $5,000 of revenue. Insurance and property, $3,500. Maintenance, beach and parks. We have upped this from, and this is, you will be very interested to know, Kathy, that we've upped our maintenance for the beach and parks to $10,000. So the question is whether or not that funding will go towards planning for what we might do with the grant money for the beach, or is it, or do we want to just do basic improvements, picnic tables, swing set, clean that area up? That's to be determined, but we earmarked $10,000 for that. Maintenance, building improvements, we brought that up to $12,000 to $25,000 with the idea of being able to do something in the kitchen to get the stove and the exhaust system going. So there's money earmarked there. Membership is pretty much the same. Office supplies are relatively flat. Our lease accounting software, $900, and that's based on 50% of that is going to park and rec and 15% to water. The next item is professional services. That's our website, administrative services. Or we're bringing it back to a 50-50 charge. Historically, we've bounced around with how we're breaking down the administrative, the legal, and the accounting services, depending upon what our revenues are in water versus what our revenues are in park and rec. There's no real way of determining what it is. I think we did a 60-40 a couple of years ago because park and rec was slow. So we were putting more revenue, more of the expense towards water, but we're bringing it back to 50-50 to get this to balance. And there's more to come. And that's the same. It's the same for our accounting services as well as our as administrative. LAFCO charges of $150,000. Professional legal services. This was budgeted initially at $20,000 this year. We only realized $3,300. We brought it up to $8,000, but we moved the bulk of the money, which will come up. It'll show up later in professional services for the surveyor. Because I think that we're going to end up spending more towards surveying than towards legal costs based on where we're going with this. Professional auditing, that's we allocated that 50-50, and that's our annual audit. Professional services for accounting is allocated 50-50 for Victoria. Professional services, this is the other one where we took the money out of the legal and put $25,000 into the surveyor. Bank service fees are just our monthly fees of $200 for our banking system. Legal notices, these are all relatively insignificant numbers. So our total expenditures are $141,500, which it matches our budget. If we go down a little bit lower.
What is water and sewer? The sewer part.
Sewer. That's our water bill.
Okay. but it's got nothing to do with.
No, it just listed as water and sewer,
Okay.
and that was probably picked up because that's the way it was historically done.
We could use it to pump the septic tank.
Exactly.
Okay.
So, yes, that's what we would.
Well, I'm not kidding.
That's where we would put that money, although we did it a couple of years ago. We did it pre-pandemic, and we haven't really used the place that often since. This is something that needs to be brought to the attention of the board. We go a little bit further down. This is the transfer within funds. We have an excess of about $80,000 in park and rec this year, which is not a good way for us to end. So we also have an outstanding, park and rec borrowed from water a long time ago, prior to I think it was during the property value devaluation, 2012-13, when the property taxes went down and park and rec did not have enough money, so they borrowed from the water. We've been carrying this balance on the books ever since. We have the opportunity to pay this off now, and I think it would clarify, it's much clearer to just erase that debt.
What is that?
It's $54,424, which is basically we're not spending it, we're just moving that number from one fund to the other fund. So that's to reimburse the water fund, which still gives us an excess of $26,000 in park and rec balance this year. So by moving that, we're bringing down the balance because we don't want to show an $80,000 profit that we're just sitting on, and it makes no sense.
You take out a couple of trees.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
But this number really, I believe that this needs to be clarified from the standpoint that it's an old debt that we're carrying for no apparent reason. We don't really have no way to justify not paying it back. So we just made the transfer of the funds. That's park and rec. So the big thing when Vicky, Katie and I met briefly, we had initially put the money from the grant fund in here as well, in and out, but since we haven't actually secured that revenue, we're not putting that in there. Because it really is not part of the operating budget, per se. So that would be a separate budget that you will have to build.
Which creates a separate account.
Yeah, it's basically. Our concern was the appropriations limit. If we put that in here, we would exceed the appropriations limit. Right. But the appropriations limit doesn't include grant money, so we could have actually left it in there. Either way, we don't have that. We haven't secured that yet.
We don't know what the number is.
We'll just leave it out. And then it's a supplemental budget based on, it's not actually the operation of the park and rec itself.
That was gonna be.
Any questions on that one? Nope. I'll go through water very quickly. Total, again, our direct charge is 124,000. We're keeping that. Our actual is 120. We're bringing up to 124,000. Interest. This is Wells Fargo interest, $6,000. A new line on here is reimbursements, and that's the 61,200. That's reflected in expenses for the shared services, and then the reimbursements will be the funds that we're receiving back from Occidental and from Alliance for paying their portion of those utility bills. So that's a new line that was added there, and that's at an average of $5,000 per month based on that reimbursement. You will see when we get to the utilities line that it's larger than last year because of both we're paying the whole amount and then paying it out, and because we took the $12,000 out as well. $1,200. I'm sorry, $1,200.
12,000, what
14,000.
Yeah. What is a decimal point?
Then you're seeing income from the $53,000 is shown as income this year. With regards to expenses, I'm going to back up for a minute. This budget is not complete because we really needed to get more information on what we're doing with the Memorial Tank and what that plan is, and if there's more, if there's going to be expenses within this year. So we really got between now and when do we have to have this for the final approved? July?
It's August It's
August.
August, but you can get an extension to September if it's not ready. But
Okay,
yeah,
yeah, ideally, we'd like to have an idea on what we're doing with the tanks, before August, so that we could factor that into the final.
But is any of that budget gonna go into this fiscal year?
That's the question.
That's the question. It might.
Is there more planning on Belgian race design? That's what we better determine in the next month or two. Because again, we can build it in here, and I think it would be advisable to start this sooner than later. So that we will, I'll go back to the line, go back to my lines. We can communicate, and most of these are small. You've got maintenance equipment. That's where there's 19,400 in there now. That's the line that will change depending upon what we're going to do with Belgian race. As well as whether or not we get any financing. Chances are we're not going to get financing in this fiscal year. But we'll have no saying the office supply is pretty much the same. There's nothing else major here. The contract services water. This is the alliance. This is our the shared services amount. So you see that went basically from 131 to 164, but it's offset by the reimbursements. We changed our administrative and accounting services on this side also to 50-50. Professional auditors 50-50, and our accounting services are 50-50. Property taxes, I'm sorry, yes. Water agency fees, these are all standard. We don't think there's anything particularly. Their utilities again includes Occidental and Alliance, the $1,800 a night. So our total, we're running down to $496,200. I think, and then we've got our Prop 4 resolution amount of 414,366. Our total expenses again are 351, so we fall within the Prop 4 allotment. Questions on water?
No.
Beautiful thing.
It's a beautiful thing.
Thank you for all your work on that.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Much better than past budgets.
Thank you, and thanks to Vicky, because she had all of the, and for Katie, but Vicky had all the numbers. I mean, I think we went into this with our eyes a lot wider open than last year's budget. So we could make some actually some responsible fiduciary decisions based upon where things actually fall. So we've got to, I think what's outstanding really is what we're going to incur for the Memorial Day information, which we've got the next couple of months to figure that out. So if there's no questions, I would make a motion that we approve the preliminary budget for 2026-2027.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Very good.
There's a copy of the preliminary budget resolution for everybody this.
Yes, I've got it.
As well.
Yeah,
There's a lot of stuff I think listen.
yeah, we got a couple things. I got the ones, I'll walk these through.
The MIPSCO agreement.
Yes.
MIPSCO.
So I think we need to get in front of the potential conflict that we're gonna have with the folks that bought that 2-acre parcel at 88 Mizpah.
Somebody new bought it?
No.
It's still turned.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought somebody bought it from.
No, Turn Company bought it with the intent of flipping it, discovered that they're not gonna be able to.
Yeah.
Now they've decided that they're gonna build on it, and they
Oh,
have
really?
a septic permit in process.
Wow.
They've got a survey that's also hasn't been recorded yet. I've had a couple of email conversations with one of the two principals there. They believe that they've got an easement to get up there. We hired Ray Carlson, our surveyor. to do research to discover whether there is. He did not find anything. He ran through the chain of title on their parcel, and there is no easement recorded for that or documented anywhere. If you want to look through all of this, here's the chain of title. Kind of interesting.
Yeah.
It was first created in 1903.
Mhm.
M.P. Meeker gave it to W.C. Balmer.
Of the reservoir fame.
Yeah, all of the actual deeds are
Oh, wow.
there as well, so it's kind of fun. Was originally sold for $10 gold.
$10
Coin.
Yeah.
coin, not gold,
Yeah.
gold.
Yeah,
Must be.
you're right.
That was actually a requirement.
Really?
It's not a sale. And
So I've drafted a letter to, or a proposal of a letter to, the churn company, basically stating that we've done our research and don't believe that there is an easement there, though they may be entitled to one, letting them know how to start the process of requesting an easement of us. And I think to kind of grease the skids a bit, we should grant them access to it, limited access to it, like say that we'll let them have a lock on the gate. As long as that gate remains locked and they are working with us in kind of reasonable way to move the process forward for getting an easement.
yeah, because they're gonna run into a big problem when they actually try and get building permit.
Yeah.
Because the road would have to be upgraded to fire safe standards.
Scaling for it.
I know.
Mhm.
I've learned to just tolerate them. I want West Nile. I figure it's gonna. So, you know, they will have to, at that point, prove to the county that they control the easement or they won't get a building permit. So that's gonna be a pinch point in their entitlement process.
So their septic work is for
You can do septic work any place you want, because that's just proving soils and septic capacity. It doesn't prove anything else except that you can build a code compliant septic system. But the building permit is subject to the county fire codes as well as the building code. The fire code is pretty clear about the upgrades. It has to be a 20-foot wide, all-weather road burnouts.
Okay, so 20 now?
It's 20.
Wow.
Because the heroes have big trucks.
big red.
Big trucks with big stompy boots, because they're big guys. Hey, they're bigger than us. But anyhow, that's the step. The point is they're gonna have to pull a grading permit to do that, and they're not gonna get a grading permit on property they can't show that they are entitled to use.
So do we,
What basis, I just want one thing. They say that they do, why are they unwilling to produce any documentation?
Because there is no document.
I know there's no documentation,
Yeah.
but have they been asked that, it's like,
Yes.
okay, and what they said,
They did say anything.
okay,
Let's see, that's not quite true. They said that they don't have it. They said, when I asked them to produce it, they said, they didn't say anything specifically, but they said that I could go down to the county and just ask the woman at the counter. And she'll hand it over.
yeah,
which woman at which counter?
That was not hers.
Okay, because there's many counters.
Oh, yeah, there's many counters.
You go over to public health and ask them for something.
Yeah, sure, they'll hand it over.
That'd be a cottage food permit, but not an easement.
And I've also looked through all of the publicly available.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure that they don't.
No.
And I mean, this is kind of good middle of the road.
so the question is, do we want to get in front of this to give them the opportunity to establish an easement, or do we want them to wait until they go for building permit and then they have to come to us to establish?
I think we should get ahead of it. I mean, it's kind of a jerk move to wait until.
Well, we need to put a gate up there anyway.
Yeah.
To keep the motor vehicles on.
Right.
Right. And we know which local contractor will pull the gate down. But we'll just have to keep track of that. I mean, it is what it is.
So the,
They put one down already.
I know.
which one?
The one up on the Tower Trail. Not the Tower Gate, the trail there.
Yeah. The, so there isn't a way, it's a part of what I've heard you say in the past, Brian, but just to make sure I understand. That there isn't a way to like entirely limit them getting an easement.
I don't believe so.
Yeah.
I've not found a specific statute, but what I've read is that there's case law that says that they have to have the ability to enjoy their parcel.
Uh-huh.
Depending on when the parcel was created, that's the whole kicker there. Is
Created in 1903.
and Ray would know the answer to what side of the regulation it falls on there, but
Huh.
if it's old enough and was created just by grant deed, then you don't necessarily have any kind of deeded right of access.
If there was, my understanding is if there was access to the larger parcel that it was taken from, access at a public road, and I don't know when those public roads were put in. Then
After 1903, because that was 1905. The Meeker map was recorded.
That's interesting.
Like I said, that's a Ray thing. That's why we hired him, because he's the expert of this sort of thing. But I would ask Ray what his opinion is on whether or not, or did you ask him if they actually have some sort of just generalized right under California law? And if they do have a right of access, the other thing is, it doesn't mean an unrestricted.
Yeah.
no,
It could mean we'll give you 8 foot wide of dirt to drive your pickup truck on, and that's all you get. It could mean not even vehicular access, because in 1903, that was not an assumption.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I think it makes sense to get ahead of it.
I
Yeah,
want to go down that road. Ends up paying the lawyers.
I know.
Right.
What we'd rather do is have them say, cool beans, let's just negotiate an easement,
Right,
because
yeah.
I think the district's interest in this is the easement will have conditions attached to it. And what we want to do is regulate it.
Yeah,
You're essentially asking them to work with us.
Yeah.
after this.
Right.
We're giving them the opportunity to work with us.
I've done it before. I mean, I told them to come to us if they wanted to establish an easement.
I guess the only thing I'm trying to understand is, I mean, I think you're doing the most, Brian, trying to get them to do the right thing. I just want to make sure that if they don't appear to be wonderful human beings who want to work with us, and so I just want to make sure that we retain our right to be able to restrict and perhaps even eliminate any kind of access if they are clearly going to be not interested in working with us.
I think that point comes up when they try and actually develop.
Right.
But this I think does a couple of really good things. I mean, one is it puts us on record as acknowledging there's an issue and wanting to come out, get a positive resolution to this.
And we're within the confines of ag and open space.
Yeah.
What those easements are that are beyond our control as well.
Right.
So we're doing them a favor by sending this letter, essentially.
We're making it as easy as possible for them to get
Right.
To come to us.
Yeah.
I think I'm in favor of it for this, because it does put us it puts the ball in their court.
Right.
And we get it right as well.
And let them know that we're gonna take this action.
Right. Which we can take. It has nothing to do with them. We're just informing them that we're gonna put a gate up and it's gonna have a lock on it.
And then what is can you help me understand, Gary, when you're talking about development of the site, what is the thing that we need to be on the lookout for in terms of, so it's not.
We don't necessarily, they need to apply for a building permit.
Yes.
When that happens, then they're going to have to demonstrate that they have not only access, but access that meets fire safe standards. And that is something I've seen happen when somebody only has like a 10-foot easement. Then the requirement is you're gonna have to purchase some additional right of way. You're gonna, it's back to the property owner there, you know, because they've got access. They can physically get on that plot of land and hang out there. It doesn't mean you've got access to do anything you want to. It means that you can physically access the property. So if there's development standards that don't fit within that access easement, you've got, it's up to you to solve that problem. It's not up to us.
Yeah.
It's not up to the county.
So we could grant them offer them a 12-foot easement, which we know will not, get them.
We shouldn't be that, I mean, we should offer them what they need, but then have some real restrictions on there so that we don't have cowboy contractors grading
Yeah.
the road without a permit.
Yeah, right.
And that we, yeah, that it doesn't become the de facto motor vehicle access point to the open
That's
space.
that's gotta have a gate on it at all times. That remains.
And things like the easement could say, and they're responsible for the security of that gate. Put that on them. They just have to deal with it. If certain local people keep tearing it down, they've got to repair it. They've got to put it in, they've got to fix the gate every time the gate gets damaged. And that's not an unreasonable thing to request.
Yeah.
I think we might want to make it clear. We're really not asking for money here. We're asking for an agreement on access.
Yeah.
Because the other thing, there are other ways that can come down from Willow Creek to get there via the reservoir named after the original owner. Well, seriously, there is a road down from Willow Creek that accesses that property past the Baumert Reservoir.
Yeah.
That's also on our property.
It's true, but my point is, that's right, an easement isn't necessarily, it's like, where is it? It can't be anywhere. That we could say, well, that's the easement, and then you're really got a problem there because there's like literally no way you could develop that to fire safe standards. The only way they could get a road that would meet standards for a house would be coming up through town. It's gotta be in that direction. But once again, look at it, in 1903, no one was anticipating that.
Right.
And it's the reasonable expectations. I think this is really good, this letter.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion that we approve Vice President Almquist sending this letter.
I'll second.
Yes, all in favor?
Aye.
And continue
Yeah.
your
West.
aggressive west.
You have a list and everything.
Yeah, it's great now, turn bros.
Is this the same with people that started that grading a couple of years ago? Who pointed that out?
Yeah.
So that's the same.
Yeah, they right after they purchased it, they got,
Yeah, I mean, they hired
the local contract.
They hired the local
Yeah, But it
contractor.
was not legal what they were doing. It was just.
They never got a grade.
Yeah, right.
The local contractor claimed that the one was not necessary.
Okay, yeah.
I think the local contract, then there was one.
Yes, I argued with him for years on that one.
On what?
With the local contractor about whether or not the easement existed, and he insisted that it didn't. I said, I just spent 3 years going through this property. It doesn't exist.
Yeah.
That's the way.
Well, thanks for doing this.
Yeah, thank you, Brian.
It's so great.
I can send this like I did the last one, certified, which they will reject, and then I can just email it to, Esteban. As he does respond.
They
Oh, yeah.
rejected it?
Yeah.
They did.
Got a collection.
Wonder why they won't do, well, it's good, but we should have the rejected letter on file.
Yeah,
Paper
I got it on my desk.
yeah. And we've got this resolution that we're approving that this to be sent. So.
These guys seem like the sort of people we want a good paper trail with.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. How about some director's reports? Anybody got any?
No, but I forgot to mention one thing, and that
Did I
was
recognize you?
former director.
Corporate director report.
Yeah, Director Emeritus Anderson.
Yeah, sorry. But Sunday I went to a celebration of life from one of our old Reckham Park directors, and that was Carl Whitney Drexel. He passed away.
Really?
Yeah, So I went to his service on Sunday, and his second wife was Roxanne Cantanilla, who used to be a director here. That's who I took. Carl worked with my mother-in-law, and then when I moved up here, and then Roxanne was getting sick, and I took over her spot, and that was in 1986.
Are you the oldest surviving director?
I think so.
Wow. You're not going anywhere.
Anyway, no, I'm not. My mother lived to 104, so.
Okay, are there any other directors' reports, or can we wrap this up?
Let's wrap it up.
Okay, I move adjournment.
Second.
Bye.
Need signatures. Don't go anywhere.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
903.
No, that thing wakes me up. Yeah.
There's one.
There's no event, right? We can leave everything.
Yes.
Oh,
This one, I'm not sure.
Yeah,
which I was gonna say, is
Yeah.
gonna on, well, pretty fun.
no,
Oh,
no, but,
So this resolution.
This is resolution. Who made the motion?
always the
The
bride
going
may
back.
never the bride.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
There you go, you're the bride.
And he was gonna have.
Gary, and then Brian.
So.
Director.
That's right, you can't barbecue.
Yeah,
You're
you could buy it.
not barbecuing here.
You could buy barbecue and bring it here.
That's right.
But
Or you know, you can probably hire somebody,
Yeah.
you can hire someone with a smoker.
Or, yeah, food truck,
Food truck, and a handicap spot.
yeah.
Food
truck, barbecue,
To the
food truck.
question.
No, it's everything.
Let's put our heads together.
Yeah.
To be a letter to get. For the.
Thank you.
Sit on the pond.
Yes, yeah,
You work on it, I work on it.
we gotta do it. And then-
So
Couple
good
of
to
days.
see you.
Yeah.
Help yourself to take some
Yeah.
cookie. Bell Albert,
As-
This is your quote, or should I leave it attached to the?
that one is the
Friends of mine.
tedious.
And
And Unger,
what we do is get together and do the website. That's what baby boomers do, when they get together to talk about medical.
uh,
She just called it the organ.
Yeah.
Oh, I like it.
Mr. Basil, I'm signing
So,
this
so
one.
her new thing though, she said we got, 10-minute already, when we're gonna, like, do it.
It seems that I sign all of these, yeah. Checks.
This is that resolution, some warrants, and the resolution.
It was big.
Two of these.
I only had one.
I am convinced that
One's for water and one's for,
they don't tell you really what this recovery is gonna be like, what surgery Spud had done. So that the elects to do it, because if none of them elects to do it,
Not
he'll
me.
be in a wheelchair through.
no, that's figure.
Oh, okay, but if they told you it is sufficient, it's just you would, I mean,
Yes.
That's one more signature.
yeah, it was about as bad as I've ever seen. Well, I think Christine, including like rescues on the fire.
People listed in bed.
Yeah, because, well, the doc said, we don't ask on a scale of 1 to 10, and this person's one, we can't tell. We know it's, yeah, so that's an actual sound. So, well, we, you know, they had her, that's, it was fentanyl drip, it's been doing the page. I don't think nothing. That one's fine. For real, oh, yeah. See, because what it took with.
Yeah, I'll
send you. What's that word? Dialogue work, well, here's. As a recreational drug user, a former recreational drug user, but.
That's recreational drug.
And I insisted on getting that when I had shingles, which is also sure. And the reason it works is not because because,
Yeah.
and that's real opioid as opposed to fentanyl, which is a synthetic. So yes, it's one of the most powerful painkillers imaginable, but if it won't get you pain, it's not psychoactive at all. It just suppresses the pain. Opioids are psychoactive. So what, even though you're still in a lot of pain, you're in a happy place off to the side. No, it's the psychological shift that opioids do as part of their whole, magic to pick up really, really violent.
It's
making you, they're doing both, masking it, but it's also, but it's taking care of, like, if you can't completely mask it, then you're in a place where you have no anxiety over this. Because I think, I said that's part of the thing.
But yeah.
Like this is touching it. This is like beyond fucking, because there's nothing else they could do. They were doing it to the point where suppressing her respiratory system. I mean, they were giving that her that like, like her breathing rate was down to 8 per minute. Yeah, sure. No, she's almost on life support. So I'm saying it's like.
But I was gonna say.
She was in recovery for 5 days.
I'm gonna be.
But anyhow, they switched her, so doctors next day switched her over to Dilaudid.
Yeah.
And it was like,
Yes.
she started snoring.
Oh my God.
Like, it just blistered out. Well, she was exhausted, but the other thing is put her in this state, this altered state.
I mean,
So that worked.
however.
That was good. They just had to keep her in there until just regular Oxycontin took care of it. That was the transfer.
I'm a little lost what he's gonna give us next.
Who?
Right.
He's gonna give us some information on a USDA grant.
He is going to
No, there's
provide
another
a
proposal.
proposal
Right.
to tell you how much it's going to cost for him to go.
Oh, got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is just a proposal, and I think was it coupled with additional, the proposal may include an option of looking into the grant and fleshing out the numbers on, I think, continue to touch up the numbers on the tank placement / repairs, all that. But you know what, you guys have paid off that loan, people were sort of already used to paying it.
Right.
So getting another one that will give you another 30 years, and none of us accept.
And I believe the new resident and Meeker should share in the cost of this, just as.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
Should never be in a position to own it.
No, it's.
Never.
You never want to be.
It's like,
Oh, you never want to be paid off.
No.
yeah, you always want to refi.
Yeah, because I believe that people that have lived, people that have been here for 20 years and the people that have been here for 5 years, they should still be paying for this. Why should the older, you know, it's a shared responsibility. Well, that's my philosophy.
Water conservation letter is coming.
I gotta do it now.
You gotta clean up those numbers. I can help you if I understand your.
Yes, you may.
So that'll offset the.
Okay, so we've got an extension with them, but you still want to go, you still want to.
We still want to do the letter.
You want to present them with a conservation letter. Gee, we're doing such a great job. Why should we have to pay for additional
Correct.
dollars for conservation when we're already ultra conservative? Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Sure, I'll put that right on my list of things and forget.
Two scratch, if you could watch your note that you sent us. This is not recognized. Good to see everyone, thank you.
Okay.
Bye. Okay.